cloud don't look like it's rotating to me.
How do you milk an almond?
Really?
The root of all evil is electricity.
Yes, I believe that. I do. I don't know if we all need to pop up into communes and stuff. If I took as much time out as Jesus did, I'd get fired.
Easter Sunday, Super Bowl for churches. Hello and welcome to Northside Now. This is the podcast where we take you on a tour through all of the ministries and the latest happenings around Northside Church to keep you better connected with your church family. I'm one of your hosts, Patrick, and with me as always are my co-hosts, Glenn Miller and Kevin Bryant.
Hello.
What's up, guys?
Ciao.
Did y'all live through that storm the other night?
Yeah, that was quite a blow.
I was up here at the church, actually.
It was pretty wild by our house. So
We lost power for a very, very long time, but
Yeah.
I've heard of some folks, especially in the Atlanta area and Denmark and other places that had damage too, right?
yeah, there was quite a bit of damage and some houses completely destroyed.
Yeah.
So one house, a tree fell out, and that tree was ginormous. There's no telling how old that thing was, and it just completely crushed that house.
So I don't know the root structure for all kinds of trees. I know some are fairly shallow and some are really deep, but like I was thinking about the magnolia.
Oh, in front of my parents' house?
And what if if that came down?
We've always said it doesn't matter which direction that tree falls in. If it comes down, it's taking the house with it. Whether the tree falls on the house or the roots just pull, pull it up from underneath, that's going to be bad. For those listening that don't know, Madison County's oldest magnolia tree is in front of my parents' house, and it is enormous. It's got to be.
Do they have tour buses that just go by? Kind of like Minnie Pearl's old house.
Arborists that come and...
Like Loretta Lynn's ranch.
I wish, but no.
Well, I remember, speaking of that, I remember like the oldest pecan tree or something that used to be up like Natchez Trace area. Do you remember that?
I don't remember
Huge
that.
pecan tree up there that it had like lightning strike it several. This would have been years ago, and they poured concrete in the middle of it just to kind of keep it up. The inside had died out, but the outside was still alive or something. But you get trees that old, and it's really hard to keep them together.
Well, the one that failed in Midtown, the one that crushed the house, it looked like it was probably that old.
But no fatalities, right? That's what we've heard.
No,
Not that I've heard,
I've not heard anybody was hurt or anything.
Well, that's good. I know I was watching a little bit last night just on my phone. Boy, it would have been nice to have that back in, 99 or whenever the big tornado came through Jackson.
In 2003,
2008. This path was very close to the 2003 path.
Was it?
Really close to it. So,
but some of the technology we have now to give advance warning is super helpful. It's not perfect.
So when all of this was happening, we had plumbers at the house working on some various plumbing issues. And so they're just working on the plumbing while the sirens are going off. And I'm just like, okay, it's just like another day.
all right, here's a great question. When the sirens go off, do you, A, hit the closet or the shelter, B, go out inside and see what's happening, or C, just start gathering your phone and stuff like that to see what's going on?
This time I just gathered my phone. I have been the person that runs outside to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I usually go straight to the place, but I also bring a phone or something to listen to radar. I usually haven't gone out much. I just haven't been that person, but
I'm pretty bad about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out there and see what's going on.
Oh man, maybe I can see it.
That cloud don't look like it's rotating to me. Hey, what are y'all doing? And that's when I always love it because you step out, there's always at least another neighbor out there with you.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. I wonder what they're blowing those whistles for.
it's a block party. Everybody goes out and has community.
And the girls are going, Daddy, get in here. Yeah, I think you get that. My dad was that way too. You go out and see what's going on. But we used to, in Texas, you could watch them.
You could see it coming from miles away.
You could see it coming from miles away. Or you could see them going somewhere. And here they I feel like they sneak up on you because of all the trees.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, weather has been wild just the last, I don't know, a little while. But
I was wearing shorts and then I had to pull out my jacket.
Oh, I know.
And it's too
Bundle up
cold.
again, yeah.
Too cold for pollen season because my truck went from blue to green again. So So, but the rain does help wash all that out. So that's good.
Right.
Yeah, that's the one problem with me having a black car is sometimes I come out and you can just see it. It's just yellow.
Oh, yeah. It's bad.
Now you know what you're breathing in every breath you take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
Although I heard this. I don't know if it's true or not. But if you're dealing with like allergies, those sorts of things, if you get local honey
Yeah.
and you eat like, I don't know what, like a tablespoon of locally sourced honey, then like the pollen and stuff doesn't mess with you as bad because the bees used that same pollen.
Yeah.
So,
I've heard that. I've heard that's true.
Yeah, one of our allergists years and years ago recommended we take a teaspoonful of bee pollen as a immune enhancer.
Yeah.
So that the body would get used to that.
Yeah.
And it's a way to boost your body's own immune system. So it would get used to that and not react as badly when that stuff came through.
I didn't know if either of y'all had tried that. I need to find me some.
Oh, I always eat local honey as much as possible.
Honey,
Yeah.
I need to find, where do you get local honey?
I have a name for you to call.
Okay.
Yeah.
If anybody out there has local honey,
Yeah.
I'll take some.
But it is somewhat
good, too.
of a harder thing to find.
Yeah.
Because bees are under attack by pesticides, but also sort of natural predators, mites and things. So in the bee community, as much as I'm sort of not very closely
I don't know. You're
connected
sounding like
with
a
it,
professional over here. I'm
but
like,
I was a beekeeper when I was a teenager.
oh, okay. You have a veil.
I do have a veil. Actually,
Cool. That's cool.
And I would love to get back into it. My cousin was a more professional beekeeper on a enterprise scale, but it's really hard to be a beekeeper nowadays because of all the disease. But then there just aren't as many bees because pesticides do kill bees.
Yeah.
And so that's a big issue right now because you have to have, unless you're doing it mechanically, which is hard to do on a large scale, you have to have insects to pollinate flowers and plants and crops and things.
I heard a story actually, kind of along the same lines that they were talking about almond milk and like the demand for almond milk has gone up so high that like they're having to, what do they call it? It's sort of like bee renting where people will move their bees from place to place to pollinate the crops, and it's killing a ton of bees moving them like that. But because the demand for almond milk has grown, they've got to pollinate all these almond crops and
At the almond dairy.
and they were talking about how like just the almond industry alone killed like 50 billion bees last year or something ridiculous. But
That's a reason not to eat almonds.
I know.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
that's actually happened. That's been happening for years.
Yeah.
So the professional beekeepers will basically hire out their hives and put them up on big semi trucks and take them to the fields or the orchards for whatever time period. And then when that pollination is done, they'll take them back up and take them to the next place.
Yeah.
And, that is the way that a lot of professional agriculture works.
Yeah.
But with the pesticides and other things that are just killing bees, not to mention the moving and various things like that, it's one of those crises that we don't really talk about very much outside of that community.
We should be talking about almond milking because who had ever thought we'd be drinking milk from almonds?
See, and I wonder
How do you milk an almond?
Really? I mean, how many almonds do you have to crush in order to get enough? That's a lot.
But here's
of
the
almonds.
thing. Here's the thing I wonder. When you're making almond milk, there's not that much liquid in milk, right? Or in almonds. So what do you add to it to make milk? And what is added, is that really healthy or not?
Probably
I
not.
have no idea.
See, it's this whole question. I get into these rabbit holes all the time. Are plastics healthy for us?
Ooh, we know
not to
we know
eat.
the answer to this. Have you seen the news lately?
Probably not.
They are finding pieces of plastic in our blood.
Microplastic.
Yeah,
Yes.
in our blood, and they're just now getting to like how bad plastics are going to be for us.
Yeah.
And where all that's affecting us right now.
But plastics have been around since what? 60s?
Yeah, but they've
70s?
never been able to find it in our blood until recently.
I know. It's one of those things. Well, plastics are fine. Plastics are fine. You stick them in the microwave. It's no big deal. Reheat your food. And now they say, well, you don't want a microwave plastic.
Yeah.
You don't want a microwave plastic. And then 80 years down the road,
I'm in trouble then.
80 years down the road, like now, plastic's in our blood. Well, God didn't create our blood to have plastic
Exactly.
in it. What does that do?
And what does that do to your liver and anything else? Yeah, that was actually just recently that they come out with that, and that was alarming to me. Some things I don't really, big deal. I'm sure somebody, but that's like plastic in your blood. That's not something that we need.
Plastic in the air, plastic in the soil. Yeah, I've definitely read some about that.
That's not good.
But this brings us to the conversation, the hour-long conversation that we had before
you ever press record.
Yes. And
welcome to the podcast after the podcast. That wasn't recorded.
That gets us into a very long and very interesting discussion that I encourage any listener to ask us more questions about. But taking us back to maybe the way life was intended to be, and how can we get a little bit more of our modern life to this ideal where there's less busyness. Glenn, you were talking about sort of the way, in my own words, I put it, the root of all evil is electricity.
Yes, I believe that. I do.
But it's a really interesting conversation, so that before electricity, what was different? And the things that were different, was that better? So you talked about things like really having to struggle to live. Now, would we agree that the struggle to live was good? Maybe not on the surface, but if we're talking about working, maybe our bodies are a little healthier in terms of physical labor to collect crops, to plant, to, those kinds of things. Maybe community looked a lot different.
Yeah.
We were interacting and having really meaningful conversations when we weren't so busy having to keep up with the latest award show or social media or whatever else. And we'll get to that probably in a little bit later. But are we saying we all should go live on communes and just, build our own houses and crops and stuff? There's total value in that pre-electricity state, I think, when it comes to a Christian life.
Yeah.
I mean, some people definitely buy into that. Have you ever seen that show Alone?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that buy into that naturalist lifestyle.
The survivalist.
Techniques,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we all need to pop up into communes and stuff like that.
That was somewhat of a rhetorical question.
You tend to start getting visits from the FBI when you do that.
I'm going to live off the grid.
But no, seriously, I think that we just have so much luxury time that the human was not intended to have, maybe. So, so we can sit around and talk and wonder and have debates about award shows and slaps and all kinds of stuff. But, I think if we were busier doing things that require survival, like a bee, they're flying and doing and collecting, and, they don't have time to sit around and worry about other things. They don't have time to worry about the buzz. But, I think we would have a whole different lifestyle. I think we'd have a whole different understanding of who God is in our life. And I think he may be more of a priority instead of being more of choice somewhere down the line. I think there's a lot of merit to thinking about that kind of lifestyle. I have electricity in my house. I love it. I liked it when it came back on at 3:00 in the morning.
That's right.
I like it when it powers my air conditioner in the summer.
Yes. I have electricity in my truck. I am thankful. So, it's so tough to know exactly what to do there. But the reality of it is, I think we really do get a little bit spoiled. We're overspoiled. What's past spoiled? Rotten?
Spoiled rotten.
Yeah,
what's
that's
past
right.
rotten? Dead. All right. Well, maybe we're dead in some ways.
Dirt. Becomes dirt again. This is that challenging conversation that came up for me when we talked about connect with culture.
Yeah.
Because I definitely agree with you, and I see value in that. And to I think my benefit, when I grew up, I had a lot of that instilled in me.
Yeah, me too.
Whether it's just being out in nature or just taking time when we can to unplug and do that. But I think that you can have, and Patrick, you mentioned this a little bit, more meaningful, real meaningful spiritual conversations is where it's at. And you can only have that when you're not super busy and all your time spoken for.
Yeah. I think that's a part of our problem in society these days is that we're plugged in nonstop,
Yeah.
Listening to podcasts.
At least, yeah. But I mean, we've got stimuli, like our brains are stimulated every second of every day, unless we're sleeping. It's like we wake up and we've got our phone in our hand. We just don't have that time to just sort of unplug and reflect and be alone with our thoughts. And I know that's scary for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes that's scary for me to be alone with my own thoughts. My thoughts are crazy, people. But I don't know what the answer is, because I don't know, how do you stay connected with culture without being connected?
Yeah.
And I feel like, time is such a precious resource. We only have so much of it. I don't know. It's hard for me.
I don't know that I have the answer either, but I do think that we, especially as Americans, have to find, and this is the challenge for Christians, but anyone, how to create gaps or space in our day.
Yeah.
I think our tendency, especially in, maybe it's because it is the current culture, maybe it's just because the effects of industrialization and modernization and all of this stuff, that we don't feel like productive, good people unless all our time's filled.
Yeah.
And that we're being hyper efficient. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about multitasking before and, sort of the one-upsmanship that even our teenagers have of, oh, I'm a better multitasker than you and I can do 10 things at once and you try and tell me different. It's laudable to think about ways that you can find space and gap. Mm-hmm. And it is hard to spend time alone with yourself.
Yeah.
I will be the first to say that, because then you start to think about the things that you're not so good at, or the things you failed at, or, using the S word, calling out your sin, Don't
call out sin.
But I think it's modeled by Jesus, right?
Yeah.
He took time away to pray. He took time away from the crowds.
He went off for 40 days into the desert?
Yeah.
I think I need to take a 40-day sabbatical.
I saw a pastor the other day post something. He said, if I took as much time out as Jesus did, I'd get fired.
Oh, true.
Wait. I think it was, if I took as much time away as Jesus did, I'd get fired. That's what he said.
And I think in some ways our struggle is to be counterculture.
Yeah.
And I think obviously that's the way Jesus and early disciples in the early church was. That doesn't mean we ignore the world around us and we isolate ourselves in a bubble. But I think we would all find some benefit in creating space.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we take Jesus as an example. He was definitely counterculture, but at the same time, he was in the culture and he was talking with the prostitutes and the tax collectors and the people that mainstream society didn't want anything to do with. But it was like, he kind of is the perfect example for that, of how to be in the culture and apart from the culture.
And
you want to be in the world, but not of the world.
And he taught with parables and things that they would understand with. So he used their vernacular, and he used all the stories and things of the day. And that would lead us to this is, maybe he would use a movie if it was today, or he would use certain things like that. And we would be talking about those kinds of things.
Talking about Marvel and Star Wars.
And I'm sure we wouldn't be talking about any Will Smith or Chris Rock movies, but, well, I guess everybody's heard about the slap around the world.
Will Smith gave Chris Rock his first hit in a while.
There's been so many bad memes and stuff.
Oh my goodness.
It's been horrible. So I don't know. We have not done an official poll here, and don't hate on us. Don't send us hate mail. But, should Will have marched up there? Now, here's what he did. He strolled up there. I saw some writer. He stormed the stage. I was like,
he swaggered up there.
He swaggered up there.
He smiled when he was walking down.
And whacked, slapped old Chris Rock. I know some people don't believe it's real.
He assaulted Chris Rock on national television.
Yes, to take up for his wife. And I know there's lots of people that says, he was laughing, da-da-da.
I don't think that that response was appropriate in any way.
I agree with that. I think that the joke that was made, was it inappropriate?
I mean, it wasn't in the best taste.
Agreed.
I mean, he probably shouldn't have been making fun of her medical condition.
Agreed. And not that that's what he was doing, because he didn't call it out.
No.
But knowing, or he should have known that was the case. as a Christian, I'm not calling Chris Rock a Christian, or I really don't know about his spirituality, but that is not what we should be doing. Now, on the other hand,
Chris should have gone, hit this side too. Hit this side too. Because that's what Jesus said.
That's right. Turn the cheek.
He said hit the other side too. That'd have been funny.
But I mean, him being a comedian, that's kind of what he was paid to be up there to do. And I mean, he was poking fun at other people.
Sure.
And maybe he took that a little too far. Regardless of that,
yeah.
Even if he had been mean-spirited in it and trying to be, hurtful, I still don't think that gives Will Smith any right to walk up and slap him. I mean, that's not the appropriate response in any
I agree,
world.
but this is part of the conversation we had before we started recording. If that was you
Yep.
and Elizabeth,
Yep. Well, okay.
what would you have done there?
So I probably would have wanted to.
Uh-huh.
Because Elizabeth and I have had this conversation, and what she would do is not what Jada did. She would have been a good wife and said, don't do that. Don't jeopardize your career. Don't go commit a felony on national television by assaulting somebody.
Right.
What Jada should have done is...
misdemeanor, by the way.
Or misdemeanor. Yeah, you know what I mean. Regardless, it's against the law. Jada should have stopped Will from going up there.
Yeah.
And because there's stuff going on in their relationship...
It seems like
Will Smith has got so much going on with in his personal life right now. It does not give him a right to go up there and assault Chris Rock. Now, if Chris Rock had, pulled out a gun or something and threatened to shoot them, that maybe warrants a different response. If there is, a threat to physical injury, but there wasn't, just because Chris Rock made a joke.
Well, as an actor, right? I mean, you do a movie and you get a million reviews.
Oh yeah.
And these people who do the official reviews, they're brutal.
Oh yeah.
On these men and women who are actors and actresses, right? And shouldn't he be a little bit used to this kind of stuff?
You got to learn. I feel like that's part of the deal.
He's been doing this since he was a teenager.
Yeah.
When he started off. Aren't you just kind of like past it by now?
Yeah.
And that was even said. That's been part of all the media storm around it. That he even said, this is part of the game, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think it really is a game in so many ways. But what was interesting to me is that now he, in some circles, I won't say everyone for sure, but he was praised for doing that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think, to your point, Patrick, he was praised for standing up for his wife and for women. And that's a hot topic in our culture today.
Some people don't want a man to stand up for them.
Well, and that is true. And I have a house full of women, in my household. And a lot of them would say that, not mean-spiritedly, but that I feel strong enough as a person, and yes, I'm a woman, that I don't need a man, and I've never really taken that to be an attack against masculinity, although many people have. Mm-hmm. We've talked about toxic masculinity, before we got started here. But I struggled a little bit with so many people standing up for Will Smith and what he did, which I think was not appropriate, and yet not standing on Chris Rock's side.
Yeah.
Taking sides like that bothered me a little bit.
Yeah. It's been interesting to see where all the chips have fallen,
Yeah, and I think that in our culture today, again, I've said this time and time again, we are ostracized for not picking a side.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
If you're not completely on one side or the other, then you're not a worthwhile person.
Yeah.
And I just think that's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that aligns with where Jesus lived in his example.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. So much of life happens in that gray area.
Yeah.
That the majority of people are not, all on one side or the other. It's that us versus them tribalism mentality that gets us into so much trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. I like both of them as actors. Mm-hmm. I've watched movies that both of them have done and different things like that, and they're both unique and different. And
I don't think there were any winners in this situation.
There was no winners.
I agree with that, and I think that we just have to.
It's true, no winners.
I think we need to be vigilant. I mean, how many award shows are on TV now? You have Grammys, you have Emmys, you have Oscars, you have the iHeart Movie Awards. You've got
how many more of
K-Love Awards,
WWE when they're done now.
Yeah, all of that stuff, and we elevate these people to really authority status in our lives, whether They are influencers. We have this whole category of career now that you can be an influencer on TikTok, anything else. We give them that power. We, as the general public, give them that authority and power to tell us what is trendy, what is good or bad, what is healthy,
what politicians to pick,
all of that stuff, which I think that's where we need to examine ourselves and say, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
We're setting up idols for us. I mean, almost in the literal sense.
Yes.
American idols.
Yes, exactly. But we just have to be really careful how much power we give them. They are humans like the rest of us.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
They make mistakes, obviously, as we've seen, and apologies in some cases as well, which I'm glad to see. But we have to ask ourselves, in the scheme of things, how important is this in our life? I think one positive is it gives us opportunity, if we take the time, to really talk about it, to discuss it, and to say, how does this fit with what we believe and what we think is good and right and those kinds of things. And that's, I think, instead of having a real clear-cut answer to what's the right thing to do or what should we think or do. And I think the answer for me that I'm coming to is we should have conversation about it.
Yeah.
We should keep talking about it.
Yeah.
We should keep struggling with it. I think maybe, Patrick, you had said in one of our conversations before we went on air that it's the struggle with the hard, tough questions where we really start to define and understand our faith and what we really believe and why we believe it.
Yeah. I was kind of talking about, the importance of small groups and getting together and discussing this stuff in a small group. It's one thing to go to church where you sit there and you listen to the preacher and, you get your information fed to you, but then it's not until you then try to turn around and articulate that you really kind of figure out what you believe. Mm-hmm. And it's in those conversations where you're having to either defend your position or, whatever that, I don't know, it's in that struggle, like you said, that is the defining part. But
yeah, the small group, the one-on-one, the relationship building places, that's where growth happens. We call it discipleship in the church or whatever, but that's where growth happens from one person to another and from, one heart to another. I would not have stormed on stage. I know that for a fact, but if I was really that fired up about what he said about my wife, I'd have found him afterwards. You guarantee you that.
I mean, there's more
and
appropriate
we'd have had a conversation,
Yeah. There were more appropriate ways to stand up for your wife.
That, back in the day, there would have been a duel at sunrise.
That's right.
The next morning.
Yes.
Right. Pick your weapon, so,
the good old days.
The good old days, but that, was at Hamilton or something where they did a duel or something. But that kind of stuff would have ended that way. And today maybe we've progressed. I don't know, that we're at least talking about it, not just dueling about it. But that's the thing. I do remember Chris Rock's reaction. Deion Sanders went with a video camera to all of his coaches and asked him, what would you have done? It was hilarious to see their responses.
Well, you could see this moment. Like, I give Chris Rock props for handling it with professionalism and keeping the show going and all that, because I think a lot of the audience kind of took their cue from him. But you can kind of see there's this moment after he gets hit where he kind of like composes himself.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine that going through his head was, I could end this man's whole career right now.
Oh yeah.
I could end this man, but he didn't. And I'm, give him props for that. But I don't know. I feel bad for all of the people that worked really hard to get there and won awards. Cause do y'all know who won an award besides Will Smith that night?
Questlove. But
Coda won a bunch of awards.
Yeah, you get my point though. Is that
exactly. You're right.
The awards were overshadowed by a selfish act. So.
Yeah. And stop and think, how many times has a family Christmas or a Thanksgiving or a 4th of July picnic ended in the same way because of someone selfishly acted out at the family event? And everybody remembers that, not the time that they had with grandma or whatever that's no longer around.
Yeah, this is nothing new.
Exactly.
This is humanity, and it's the way it comes out.
It's just in front of us all.
The thing that's different is, that it's now published around the world in seconds.
Yeah.
But it's nothing new.
No.
It really isn't.
So anyways, that's been a It's interesting, and Kevin's right. It's definitely worth some good conversations, and there's been a lot of good conversations I think happen because of that. So but remember, Scripture does say, "Give them the other cheek," as well.
That's what Chris Rock should have done.
Yep. Well, we know that there's lots to talk about, but there's also some stuff coming on close here at Northside that we need to chat about a little bit. Patrick, what we got coming up?
Yes.
I know Easter is getting closer.
Yeah, we talked about weather before, and I know you guys talked about weather last episode. Man, I hope we have some good weather for Holy Week. But
y'all, let me tell you too, I'm excited about something. I have something I've never received.
It's not llamas.
It's not a llama. Curse the llama. We have a lot of nativity sets here at Northside and stuff like that. My oldest daughter got me for my birthday an Easter nativity.
Oh, really?
And so it's the tomb,
with
an angel and Mary and the other Mary. Who is that's right? No, who went to the tomb? Mary. Anyways, there's the two women at the tomb, and the angel are at an empty tomb, but it's a nativity. Set up just like a nativity. That same size, a whole 9 yards, but it's an Easter nativity. And I know nativity is
I was just going to say, can it be a nativity?
No, it's not, but I don't know other way to explain it, right? So
how would you like to be the other
Mary? Sorry, I digress.
Actually, maybe 3 Marys, I think. They were Mary.
Because there's Mary, mother of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and the other Mary. So, so I have for lack of a better word, because I know nativity is a true Christmas thing, but an Easter nativity.
The Easter-ivity.
Easter-ivity. That is pretty cool.
Easter set.
Cool. Yeah. So, I don't know what else to call it.
Well, before we get to Easter, we have Palm Sunday on the 10th.
Yeah.
Kicking off Holy Week.
That's this weekend?
Yep. Kicking off the Holy Week. That's also the start of our new schedule.
Yeah, we talked about all that.
In the afternoon, we will have the Easter egg hunt / petting zoo /
those llamas,
pony rides, whatever else.
Hopefully not Noah's Ark.
Yeah,
dude, hopefully not Noah's Ark.
And the kids will be doing a little Easter skit to kick that off with, which will be cool.
That'll be awesome.
And then Tuesday, we have our Joy group, so make sure you sign up for that on the app.
We have the topic for what that
who's
is.
The speaker.
Rose Hill Middle School's choir is coming to sing at the Joy group, so that'll be good.
Yeah. And one of our
young adults is
Jared.
Jared Heldenbrand.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Cool.
Is the conductor there, so
that'll be awesome.
That'll be good. So if you're 50 and up, make sure you sign up for that. You don't really have to be over.
I was going to say you can come if you're younger.
You can come if you're younger.
I went.
Make sure you have Joy.
One.
Yeah,
they got good food.
Yeah, they do. Make sure you sign up so there's enough food for everybody.
Yeah,
and then Wednesday night is Gethsemane Wednesday, but we'll have our regular praise service and Bible studies after that. Yeah. So activities are normal. Generally, the topic is just Gethsemane.
Got it.
Because it's Holy Week. And then Friday, that's the 15th, will be Good Friday. And we'll have our Good Friday service at 7 o'clock.
Is that in the sanctuary, right?
That will be in the sanctuary.
Cool.
Yeah. And the choir's coming back this year, so
that'll be good. Way to go, choir.
Awesome.
And then Easter Sunday, Super Bowl for churches. That comes up on the 17th.
We laugh because it's true.
Yeah.
So what's the times of everything?
6:30? Yeah, 6:30 sunrise service. And then we'll have our 8 o'clock traditional service. And then we'll have a 9:15 modern worship service with kids power hour and our connect groups at the same time. And then we'll also have a 10:30 traditional with the kids connect groups and adult connect groups and everything else as well at the same time.
So that's something new I haven't heard talked about. Connect groups. What's that?
Modern terminology for Sunday school.
Aha.
Yeah, and other small group times too.
Yeah, but connect groups can also include more than just Sunday school. It also includes Bible studies and all that.
I like that.
So
yeah, we're gonna be connecting.
Connecting. I like it.
Connecting.
Good.
Opens us up to all new possibilities.
Yes, I've already had some funnies with that.
I like that.
Connecting.
But yeah, I like that.
Well, good.
Make sure you write all that stuff down.
Yeah, and check all the socials and the apps and
information sheet when you come
Yeah.
on campus, always for every Sunday service.
And when you get to church early and you're watching and you're talking to your friends, look up at the screens and see what all's up there because there's some things up there, right?
Yes.
So check those out.
Yeah, we've got some big things coming up after that too, with sermon series and some
so right now, Rev Kev's in his Habakkuk series, but the next series,
Habakkuk.
Cookie
Cookie Monster series.
Kicking off May 1st will be his next sermon series, and it's exciting.
Yes. Patrick and I are having fun.
We're having fun. We're planning. Our plans are fun. Whether we can execute them is another matter entirely.
I am confident that we can.
I don't want to overpromise.
That's right.
I'd rather underpromise and overdeliver.
Well, that'll be fun.
But get ready, because I think the next one's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
And that's got a pretty long series, isn't it?
Yeah.
From what I understand.
It's gonna be a few weeks.
It'll take us through a large portion of the summer. So
cool.
A lot of good content there, though.
Yep.
So the challenge for all of us this week is to create space.
Yep.
Create space. Turn off some of the noise and turn off some of the electricity.
Yep. On purpose.
And stay away from plastics.
And stay away from plastics.
And llamas.
Well, that's just a good rule of thumb.
Yes.
Just in general. Well, guys, thanks for podcasting with me. And thanks to all of you out there in the world for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it on social media, leave a comment, leave a rating and review, tell all your friends and family. To catch all the latest from us, check us out on Instagram at Northside Now Podcast. You can visit our website, northsidejackson.com, or you can email us, podcast@northsidejackson.com. We hope to hear from you soon. Once again, this is Patrick.
This is Glenn.
I think I'm Kevin.
And that's what's happening at Northside Now.